Previously, on Searching for Ghosts.
And I think that's a pattern. He loved us when we were little, but when we started getting older and having a voice of our own, it changed.
And all of a sudden, he just jumped up and said, "I'm going home." Just right out of the blue.
That's just something new to me that I learned yesterday. I was like, well, I never knew I was supposed to go skating with her. I just saw her that Sunday. She was coming to tell me bye.
I'm going to take my band down to Mexico. You come down and get it and have it. It'll be yours. It's a nice band now.
In the last episode, we got a rare look into what was going on that weekend, while Larry and Bethany were in Little Rock. In this episode, we will hear what Larry was doing that Friday before he picked up Bethany. And we will talk to someone who saw Bethany that Sunday, someone who might have been the last person other than Larry to see her. And there is still a huge chunk of time not accounted for after Larry and Bethany left Little Rock. I'm Brandon Barnett, and this is Searching for Ghosts, Season 2, Where is Bethany Markowski? I've learned from Johnny since the airing of Episode 2, Little Memphis, that Bethany was the one who told her about the skating plans that weekend, not Larry. But no one else, including Christina, was made aware of these plans. And it appears that Bethany wasn't the only daughter of Larry's who had plans broken that weekend. Here is Jenny Markowski again, Bethany's half-sister that you heard in Episode 4, The Escape. Jenny was a young adult in 2001 and had moved out of the house.
As soon as I turned 18, I got out and moved to Dresden. So by that time, Bethany was the only one that was in the household with him and Johnny.
Jenny and her boyfriend at the time spent the night at Larry's house in Gleason on Thursday night so that they could go with him to pick up Bethany on Friday for his weekend visitation. According to Jenny, Larry had some pretty life-changing plans in store for the family, and this weekend was going to be jam-packed with things that they had to do in order to get this new life started.
We had plans, me and my ex-boyfriend, we had planned on staying with him that weekend. We were going to, we took off work. We were going to wake up early that morning and ride with him to get Bethany. We were supposed to have spent the weekend in Nashville with Bethany, going up there with Larry, looking for an apartment to stay at. He had told us that, got this idea in our head that if we moved there, we could be closer to Bethany.
For those of us in smaller towns in West Tennessee, Nashville is kind of our New York City. It is Music City, USA, after all. That city is all abuzz with excitement and opportunity. And for the 19-year-old Jenny Markowski, it was a win-win. She was going to be with her sister again in Tennessee's most desirable city.
So of course I was up for anything to get me, keep me closer around her.
Right.
And of course at 19 years old, moving in a big city, that's always, nice anyway.
Yeah. But Jenny awoke that Friday morning to a bunch of commotion at the house in Gleason. Larry convinced Jenny that this was all part of the plan to start a new life in Nashville.
We woke up that morning and he was selling the furniture out of the house. And of course, at 19, I didn't realize, you could tell me anything. I guess naive. He told me, I asked him what he was doing, and he said, we were just selling the furniture. If we're moving to Nashville, in an apartment, we don't need all that furniture.
But it seems that as soon as the furniture was taken away, so was any hope that Jenny had that she was going to see her sister that weekend. Evidently, there had been a change of plans.
After the people left, he said, hey, well, it's a change of plans. He said, I'm just going to take y'all to get some breakfast, and I'm going to take y'all back to y'all's place. And we were confused, what's going on. We had planned this whole time. Now, all of a sudden, you're telling us that we're not going to go. So we went to eat. He took us home, and that was the last that I heard from them until Sunday when I had called his phone.
Okay, so we know that on Friday, Larry didn't take Bethany skating, nor did he go apartment hunting with Jenny in Nashville. He picked up Bethany at 5 p.m. from Lori at the Waverly exit, and then he made the 5-hour-plus trip to Harold Roberts' house in Little Rock, Arkansas. If you remember from episode 6, Little Rock, according to Harold, Larry and Bethany left Little Rock on Saturday night around 8:30 or 9 o'clock to head back to Gleason. This is about a 4 to 4.5 hour trip. Harold states that Larry called him at 1:30 a.m. and was still in Forest City, Arkansas, which is just an hour and a half outside of Little Rock. Harold just assumed that Larry had taken a nap instead of driving straight to Tennessee. I should note that Larry was a truck driver by trade, so taking naps on the road wasn't uncommon. But Harold told me that law enforcement informed him that something didn't jive with the call from Forest City.
Clayton Goldsmith, he's an FBI agent in Tennessee that was involved in this. And then we had one out there in Little Rock that was involved in it. Now, I took 2 lie detector tests out there in Little Rock. And after I passed both tests, Clayton Goldsmith and another guy, I can't even think of his name now, started talking to me quite a bit, and they told me more about the case than anybody ever has.
Right.
And I do know they told me what they wanted me to hear, not what I wanted to hear, because they can't tell you everything. But anyway, that being said, when they traced his phone call that he had supposedly called me from Forest City, that pinged off of Land Between the Lakes.
West Tennessee has 2 natural borders that define it. We have the Mississippi River at Memphis in the west and the Tennessee River on the eastern border. The Tennessee River around Land Between the Lakes Park is known as Kentucky Lake. Land Between the Lakes is an hour and 50-minute drive northeast of Larry's home in Gleason, Tennessee. Land Between the Lakes is a 5-hour, 14-minute drive from Little Rock, Arkansas. If someone did leave the Little Rock area at 8:30 p.m., drove straight to Land Between the Lakes, and made a phone call, that phone call would have been made around 1:30 a.m., when Harold says he received the call from Larry.
Now, if you know anything about Forest City and how far Land Between the Lakes is from Forest City, that is impossible.
Yeah.
Because it would have pinged off of maybe Memphis, but not Land Between the Lakes.
Yeah.
So that when he made that phone call to me that morning, telling me that he was in Forest City, he just got up between Forest City, he wasn't there. He was already in Tennessee. He was already on the other side of Gleason.
When I spoke to Mike Holt, now retired from the Jackson Police Department, I asked him about the Land Between the Lakes cell ping.
I mean, certainly they were involved over there in a number of aspects, helping us run stuff down, but I don't remember I don't know what you're speaking about.
Okay.
I just don't remember anything like that. This may be something that the TBI agent that was involved with became aware of that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Or told me and I didn't remember.
When looking at Jackson Sun articles trying to piece together a timeline, I could never find anything that indicated when Larry said he arrived in Gleason. The statements from law enforcement were always vague. They would be like, they drove all night from Gleason and arrived late Sunday morning. But Johnny has a missing persons flyer of Bethany from the Jackson Police Department. The flyer states that Larry and Bethany made it home to Gleason at 9 a.m. that Sunday morning. With this, we now have a block of time, within 30 minutes, that Larry left Little Rock and made it to Gleason. 8:30 or 9 p.m. on Saturday night to 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. That's a 12 to 12.5 hour span. It's only a 4 to 4.5 hour trip from Little Rock to Gleason. This begs the question, where in the hell was Larry in that 12-hour time frame? We don't know if the land between the lakes ping is valid, but it actually fits the timeline better than the Forest City claim does. And just like with the Little Rock trip, many people have speculated if Bethany ever made it back to Gleason. Well, she did. Remember Christina, Bethany's friend with the skating plans?
Bethany and her dad showed up to my house on a Sunday, and she was supposed to be headed back to her mama's house.
And Christina says something wasn't right with Bethany that day, and that Bethany was in possession of something that no one has been able to verify to this day.
She to me, she seemed not herself, and I kept asking her what was wrong, and she kept brushing me off, saying, "Look at my new phone. I got a new phone." I was like, "Well, where'd you get your new phone from?" And she said, "My dad bought it for me." And so she didn't stay really long, and so I wrote down my number and gave it to her, so she needed to call me. And I was walking her, me and my aunt were walking her to the truck with her father, and she seemed off. I just didn't understand what was wrong, but as she got in the truck, I started to cry, headed back towards the house, and my aunt asked me, she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Something's not right." And that's the way I felt, that something was really bad. And I said, "Something's not right. I can't stop it."
Right.
And so she's like, my aunt tried to comfort me and say, "It's going to be okay. She'll be back. She's just going to her mom." And I was like, "It's not like that. Something else is wrong."
And 1 week later, Christina's gut feeling about that day was proven to be correct.
I guess my aunt waited because my aunt knew she went missing, but she didn't tell me till a week or so later because the TBI and FBI were going to come out to the house to talk to me.
Okay.
And she told me that she went missing, and I cried, and I was like, "Well, see, I knew something was wrong." And so I had to talk to the TBI and the FBI, and I made sure I told them, I might have been 12 or 13 years old. I don't think that they took me seriously because I was a kid.
Right.
But I told them that she had a cell phone. I told them everything that I just told you, and they seemed to, I don't know if they seemed to take me seriously or not, but apparently they looked into it, but they didn't. I don't know. I feel that they didn't look hard enough into it.
Right.
That's the way I feel.
So Christina was one of the last people besides Larry Markowski to see Bethany on March 4th, 2001. And Bethany's sister Jenny was one of the last to speak with her. Jenny wanted to talk to Bethany to see how her weekend went. A weekend that Jenny had planned to spend with Bethany.
Sunday, when I had called his phone, I don't remember what time, but I know I talked to Bethany, and she told me they had just left the house in Gleason and got a few things or whatever, and that they were headed to Jackson because they were early. And then after they left Jackson, he was supposed to have had her back, dropped off, back to Johnny's sister and them.
And unlike Christina, Jenny didn't notice anything out of the ordinary in Bethany's demeanor. But she did say the conversation was cut short because of poor phone service.
And she sounded fine. She sounded like, she didn't sound like anything was wrong with her.
Right.
She just told me that she couldn't barely hear me, and that she loved me, and that she was that he was taking her to the mall since they were early.
Yeah.
I guess he was supposed to have her back at around 5, and he was going to let her go to the mall, and that she was going to put him on the phone because she could barely hear me.
And Jenny didn't know about Bethany's disappearance until the following day.
I did not find out until the next day. Nobody even called and told me. I didn't know about it. Yeah, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was things that happened on TV.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to act.
Yeah. If you have any information about Bethany Markowski, no matter how small you think it is, call 1-800-THE-LOST.